You have made it to an awesome episode 65 of Enemy of the State's Dank Pod-Stash. And before we get started, let me remind you we have a special offer for our listeners from friend of the show, author, and content creator Shane Radliff of Liberty Under Attack Publications. You can take 10% off your order by using coupon code DANK10. Just go to libertyunderattack.com. They have books focusing on self-liberation, freedom strategies, solutions, and more. Current books include #Agora, Second Realm, book on strategy, Ben Stone's Sedition, Subversion, and Sabotage, and Shane's very own Vanu, A Strategy for Self-Liberation. They also offer assistance to new authors throughout the publishing process, including editing, proofreading, formatting for Kindle and paperback, and full-service audiobook production. That's Liberty Under Attack Publications. Share your story, find your freedom. Also want to shout out Bad Moon Hemp. Check out badmoonhemp.wordpress.com. It's your one-stop shop for all your handmade hemp needs. I use their beard oil and beard balm, and I love them. One more shout out, friend of the show, former guest Shane Hunter, a.k.a. The Abrasive Entrepreneur. Get yourself over to abrasiveads.com and opt in for a free first training from the man himself on Maslow's hierarchy of needs tied into marketing. This is valuable stuff that you can't go without if you're looking to market your content. That's abrasiveads.com. This episode was a lot of fun. I have the one and only Mr. Anarchist on here. Keep an eye out for his future content. It gets pretty wild, it gets pretty intense, and because of that, I just want to remind any government bludgies listening that anything and everything discussed within this show is purely hypothetical and not inflammatory or directed towards inciting or producing imminent lawless action as covered by Brandenburg versus Ohio. Stay the fuck out of our business. Now, we jump into this one kind of mid-conversation. We just decided to let the recording roll, and so you're going to jump right into the middle of the conversation after we recorded the Patreon content, which you can find at patreon.com/thedankpodstash. Check it out and enjoy the show with Mr. Anarchist.
Enemy of the state.
An enemy of the state.
Enemy of the state.
Dank Pod-Stash.
You're listening to Enemy of the State's Dank Pod-Stash. Check out thedankpodstash.com to find every episode of the Dank Pod-Stash, links to support the show via our BitBacker and Patreon, Dank Pod-Stash merchandise, and much more. If you'd like to advertise on the Dank Pod-Stash, email us at dankpodstash@gmail.com.
Zombie presidents! What anarchy! Zombie presidents!
Same time.
wow.
I've just been the kind of person that just works. I find great reward in seeing how I can just turn my labor into things that I want. I learned it really early when I was looking at shopping with my mom. We got a Costco or something membership, and oh wow, they got 50 of these blow pops in a pack, and I can buy them for $4, and I can sell them to my classmates for 50 cents. And like, yeah, I can have free blow pops, or I could keep the profits. And like, that was when I was 10, 12.
Oh yeah.
Like I always had that little bit of capitalist in me.
Nice.
So so many of these things, like, as I've found, like I was saying with the statement earlier, just like, as I went forward saying, I can't make excuses for these things where I'm playing both sides of this. It's okay for these guys, but not these guys. Okay for my guys. And the hypocrisy thing was what really wore me down to saying, like, if nothing else, just be truthful to yourself. Like, you can't lie to yourself. How disgusting is that?
Right.
That turned me into who I am now, after a lot of work and seeing the value in who I am. That I didn't like the fact that other people who I think of as my lessers have the authority to pilfer me and then spend it on things that are just disgusting to me morally and ethically.
Absolutely.
Is repugnant.
It is. It really is. That's probably the thing that drives me to whatever risk is involved with lessening my coercion through taxes to be as non-specific as possible for something that's going to go out on the internet. But it's just seeing what they use that money for. And, roads, whatever, all that kind of stuff, the usual arguments. But knowing that so much money is going to these massive defense corporations that are providing weapons of terrible destruction to kill innocent people, it's just, I can't be a party to that. I will not see my money go there if I can help it.
Yeah, it's real difficult. My big question for a long time was like, if you talk with someone for long enough, they'll come to a lot of the conclusions that we have come to. And then you'll wonder, why the hell haven't you changed? Why haven't you done anything? And as you get older, as you get more vested in the system, as you get more skin in the game, as you own property, as you have children, he's at a university now, and all these little tethers that the state is so effective at using their program of terrorism to keep you in line with whatever they say, because even if down to it, I don't care, I might go to jail. Like when I was a single individual before I had kids, real easy to be a bigger risk taker. As you get more and more people even closer to you, even really close friends, like everybody has a mom and dad, and like, yeah, but how isolated could you be to where, like, yes, there's nothing they could do to get through to me. I'm not, turning over because they're going to put my mom and dad in jail too, or my kids, or they're going to haul off my kids to foster care. Like their whole program of threats and violence, the whole thing is so dependent on the more entrenched you get in society, the more they have a guiding hand over your life.
Sure.
And it's tough
to
ever try to get out from under that.
And that's the idea, I guess, with the Vanuism, which is talking with Shane Radliff over at the Vanu podcast and Liberty Under Attack and whatnot, lessening the coercion on yourself to as small as possible. And he credits Tom, I can never remember his last name, but Rayo, who coined Vanuism, with inspiring Konkin's idea of agorism. I don't know if I totally agree. I think there's some connections between the idea of just their ideas of an agora, of a free market, of uncoerced exchange. I can see that, but it's quite different, and I think Vanu is a little less effective for markets specifically, and probably, though, a little bit more effective for people as individuals, just because it takes you out of society as much as possible. But you're gonna have to share some of that with me, because I'm not familiar with what Vanu is. I've listened to quite a few of your podcasts now, and I've heard you guys mention it, and I haven't fully looked into it. So like off the air, just like shoot me over some of that, or just throw me the summation. Like, what is it? Yeah. Well, if you want to get the books from Shane, they're cheap. They're good. I actually just recorded the second Vanu audiobook for him. I'm doing the narration for that. And so, yeah, it's not too in depth, I wouldn't say. And it's really strange because Rayo kind of just disappeared. After a while, he was living wilderness Vanu, so he was living out in the woods with his I think he called her a free mate, pretty much his wife, but they never got state marriage or anything, of course. And a lot of his writing and the newsletters and all that stuff was kind of lost. And Shane's actually been putting everything back together. He's been getting into contact with people who knew him, most likely knew Konkin as well, and getting a bunch of writings together. So if you come across anything in the stuff that you have from a guy named Tom talking about troglodytism or van life or wilderness Vanu, anything like that, definitely get a hold of Shane, because he's been compiling newsletters and all kinds of stuff from the late 60s into the 70s is pretty much when Rayo was doing the newsletters and stuff like that. And he's been getting hold of a lot of people and putting them into book form and republishing the original newsletters, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, it's the main thing about Vanu is you're just reducing the ability of yourself to be coerced to as little as possible. You don't want to be coerced. So he would pretty much squat in either public land, or he'd find someone with private property where he could squat. He had a truck camper for a while. They lived in tents they built, and then he was, I don't know if he coined the term troglodytism, probably not, but he was talking about building underground dwellings to live underground.
Wow, great term. What
Yeah.
a great term.
Right. And I don't know. There's a lot of frustrations within that community, it seems like, especially as I was narrating the second Vanu book that of all the compilation of stuff, of letters and all that stuff from Rayo and other people involved. Jim Stum was another person involved. There's quite a few people, a lot of pseudonyms. But it seems like,
Yeah, send me anything you got. I'll absorb it. I
Sure.
read prodigiously, and yeah, anything that comes across my line, I will get into it.
well, I would send you to libertyunderattack.com, and then he has bundles that you can buy of the different books, because that's where you're going to get all the information. Otherwise, I want to say on libertyattack.com too, there's a lot of free stuff about Vanu and all the stuff that Shane's put together as well.
That's excellent.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Shane's doing good work over there. A lot of good publishing. I had an author from one of his authors, a guy, I don't know if you saw one of their most recent episodes. His name was Matt Wotecki, and he wrote a novel, a thriller called Brushfire. It's a pretty interesting book, and I still haven't read Alongside Night,
Yeah,
but I would imagine
I
it's
listened
in
to
the same
that
vein.
one.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, I also listened to when you had mentioned James Wesley Rawls and Patriots, right?
Yes.
I had during that period of time that I went through the housing market collapse, I became one of those people who really started focusing on a lot of the prepper type of stuff. And so I came across his book, How to Survive the End of the World as We Know It.
Yes.
And it's written more like it's just here's the study guide instead of, I love how you describe like Patriots is written like a practical guide, but from a fiction perspective, because a lot of where I was coming from, I was going to go to film school for a long time, took some classes, and like when I turned 30, it was kind of like, I guess not.
Yeah.
But meeting Neil was really awesome because he made two of his works into movies, and like, yeah, criticism about whether or not those are as good as the books. I think the books,
Sure.
the book, at least Alongside Night, really, really excellent. And it was just so exciting to see this guy who he did like as close to independent filmmaking as you can get. It's like you still got to collaborate with people. Like there's still dozens and dozens of people at the end of the day who are involved, unless you're just that lone author. Like that's
Right.
yeah, that's real independence. Like you're saying, like troglodytism. Like, yeah, if you want to be like without any kind of hypocrisies or explanation of, oh, you're doing this, you're supposed to be an anarchist, but you do this. And like I've even had anarchists go, the only real anarchists are those guys who just go off into the woods. And like, no, I guess that's not me. I guess everybody has to make certain compromises and certain levels. And yeah, sure, you can judge every other anarchist and every other libertarian, but like, we don't need that.
No.
That's non-productive. That's just ego horse shit.
So there's a couple things with
Anyway.
that. Not what, as far as the not a real anarchist thing, that kind of comes to the, I want to coin the term, maybe if I can think of a good one, something like the Highlander fallacy or something like that, because no one's a true anarchist or a true libertarian except for themselves, right?
Right.
But at the same time,
yes.
gatekeeping, well, painted negatively, is, I think, important to keep out infiltrators, because if we look at, I mean, just look at fucking pedophiles that try to infiltrate the ranks of anarchists and stuff because they think that they can do whatever they want, and that's something that we don't want. People who are using the state against other people and calling themselves anarchists. I came across a guy last night who freely admitted, and I don't know if he calls himself an anarchist necessarily, but he's involved with the Libertarian Party, but freely admitted to reporting someone to the feds for threatening violence against cops, and the feds actually followed through and went and talked to this guy. And it's like, no, I don't want you to be associated
plenty of
with that.
those. there's plenty of the interlopers that is like it makes sense. It makes sense from a statist perspective, like they co-opted the Tea Party movement and
Right.
polluted that, and there was some fruit there that could have really ripened. It could have been something really good. The Ron Paul movement, and like that's how they work is they just infiltrate and they get to act like one of you, and then something they do is ridiculous and everybody goes, oh, see, look how ridiculous those libertarians are. Look
Exactly.
at anarchists just want to throw Molotov cocktails, and yeah, it's agent provocateur one way or the other. And it's like, yeah, we could take up a dozen shows talking about that, but what, are we ready to rock?
Let's just keep rolling. Let's just keep rolling, and I'll cut out
All
that
right.
beginning part. But this is going well so far.
Excellent.
I'm enjoying it.
That's what I've loved most about that I found through agorism, and that I haven't even really scratched the surface of what people who have been into it for a long time realizes. Like that's the anarchy in action. It's not just the philosophy. It's not just the understanding of economics. It's okay, but now what do we do with this?
Right.
And I have found like so many elements of that, like, wow, that just seems really intuitive. Like, so I think that part of the reason why I haven't gotten dug real deep into it is that I've seen, like, I think that I already get it. I've heard a couple lectures and a few different people, and it's like, oh, just do it.
Right.
Live free. Just don't ask permission and do this. Assess your risks and do the things that you already know are worthy of free people doing. You're not a criminal, so just do the things. And if that happens to be with what certain people, maybe they call themselves the cops, frown upon, but you know it's a victimless crime, like, okay, assess that risk and do it.
Yes.
I'm not, I'm here speaking just from a thinking. I'm just thinking out loud. To me, it's not even me. These are just thoughts that I'm sure a lot of other people have, but I'm willing to just say them out loud and risk that part of it, at least for now, and still maintain a little anonymity in the process, because I could change my mind. I could change my mind in 5 seconds about how I feel about stuff. But I think the burning questions, so many people are afraid to even start going down the path of answering, because that terrorism program works of silencing people even from expressing these ideas of like, oh, let's talk about shooting cops. Oh no, you better not, because next thing you know, and we all see the news stories, and oh, it happens. Look at what happens sometimes. So you better watch yourselves. Like, sorry, I don't compromise with terrorists to that degree. I have to be able to at least have these thoughts, and if I can just spread them out now, yeah, let me spread these seeds. And one of the biggest thoughts is like, okay, so how do we become more free? And there's a lot of different thoughts on that, and I want to hear all of them, because I think a lot of them have great merit to it. Whether it's talking about we're gonna get the big igloo going, like, okay, well, what's that look like? Like, it's a great meme. I love the boogaloo idea, but what does it mean?
Right.
What are we talking about? And then some people will clam right up because it's like, oh yeah, I don't know this guy. I can't trust this guy. It might be, entrapment right there. You're trying to get me to talk about how I would conduct what you would consider illegal. And yeah, people can be thrown in jail for using their First Amendment right. Like it's not just freedom of speech. It's also the freedom of thought to be spoken out loud,
right,
to meet with people and share those thoughts, because we can't use telepathy yet. We got to fucking say it out loud.
Right.
So you got to have that freedom. So what does the boogaloo mean to you? I don't know. But to me, it's you're using all of the regular tactics of what agorism and anarcho-capitalism, libertarianism would use, but you're also implying more violent means, maybe even aggressive means in some cases. And I think there's a case to be made for both sides, the boogaloo action and the civil disobedience action. So I threw down a few different ideas of what I thought was where I still, and like I waver, I go back and forth because I mean, there's only so many people you can see violated on YouTube
Right.
before you just lose your shit and you want to go and do the same to them. It's understandable, of course.
Absolutely.
Every cop who's out there has probably watched dozens and dozens of hours of their gang getting offed by Joe Citizen, that they look at every Joe Citizen as a potential murderer. So I get it. I get where they're coming from, but still, I think I err on the side of the civil disobedience. So I made a little list of the different tactics that could be used.
Yeah, go for
tactics, it. Civil disobedient tactics. And I'll rattle some off and I'll go off on a little tangent here and there because I got the ADD. And I'll find a way to rope this all together. I hope.
Sounds good.
So here's my civil disobedient tactics that you can use. There's one that I think is brilliant called paper terrorism, where you can just send all kinds of summons to individuals, whether they be officials of state and authorities and everything, and they have to show up at court or they can get a judgment against them and you can ruin their credit just by filling out forms. Hey, it works for some people. I know the guys who call themselves sovereign citizens, as much of a contradiction as that is, they use that. And I think it's kind of brilliant. You use it against judges and bureaucrats and politicians and cops. And yeah, if those guys are your enemy and you're not going to engage in violence, why not ruin their credit? Okay, maybe that's one good idea. I think another good idea, if you're going to do all the marches like the Black Lives Matter guys do it like the guys in the Middle East do. Bring the body. Bring the body and walk it right down to the police department and have a candlelight vigil there, and don't go away until they have to drag you away, and everybody record that shit. Because they got to report that. How do they not report? And if every time somebody got killed, the family goes, oh yeah, I'm down for that project. And now everybody swarms that town and they're like, I brought my black shit. I'm wearing all my black hood, black sweatshirt, black jeans, black shoes. We're having a memorial for this poor individual who's been murdered. And it doesn't have to be all just black people, of course. Anybody. And there are plenty of them. Just watch an hour of YouTube and you'll want to go and have a vigil and feel like crying. If you don't watch an hour of those videos and don't cry, oh my God, where's your soul? Okay, so mock funerals or even real funerals, even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Starving the beast. I came about this term, and I know it's been used by like political, but I like the anti-political way of using. And again, this is one that a lot of people can start making judgments on of, well, if you're going to make an effort against the state that isn't violent, why not just drain all their resources? If they're going to be stupid enough to craft all these laws that allow you to get money, well, go take it, because it's better going to be in your hands than it is a defense contractor. And if it helps assuage your conscience, don't think of it as you're taking from your neighbors. Think of it as you're taking from those assholes who go out and vote for those other assholes every time. So maybe there's a way to just bleed it. Find every little program, every subsidy, every way that you can to just siphon it off. And maybe there's just not enough of us to really make that one effective.
Let me jump in real quick on that one, because that's something that is one of my more unpopular opinions. I try to throw it out there when people ask about unpopular opinions. I agree. I think if you can take from the state without giving back, without replenishing, of course, then I think you should. I think that's a part of, like you said, bleeding the beast, draining them dry, depleting their resources.
I don't think that if you steal from a gangster organization that must steal to exist, that it's really theft, especially when you consider the legion of supporters of theft that will gladly encourage you to go out and just vote for one of these guys. It doesn't matter which one, because in the end they're all going to steal, as Voltaire quote. It was wonderful that just makes me go, fuck the masses is it is horrible. I'm paraphrasing. I'm horrible with quotes of it is like so exhausting to try to free people from the chains that they revere. Like, I'm sorry, I got no more effort for those guys.
Right.
I'll try for the guys that go, fuck, this sucks. I don't want these chains anymore. Like, why would you want to encourage your fellow slaves? Yo, man, we got to run up out of this motherfucker. This guy is beating us and he's taking all our productivity. Let's just either kill that motherfucker or run out of here. And then one guy goes, nah, I think we got it pretty good. Like, just don't even bother with that guy.
Leave him.
Don't even bother. Like, yeah, there's at some point you got to give up on people. So get back. Tactics, different tactics I like tax avoidance in a big way. Any way that you can use the system, not tax evasion, tax avoidance. If all the corporations are spending a huge amount of their operating revenue on a bevy of lawyers that every time some new tax code comes out, they figure a way to work it out to the best of their ability, why the fuck don't you? Incorporate, use the fucking system. If you're going to be subjected to it, don't just go, oh, they have a sword, I better go and fashion a sword. Go, I'm going to take that sword from them and I'm going to make it into a shield. That's what I think agorism is supposed to be about. It isn't, we're going to fight eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Oh, no. My tactics are better than yours.
Guerrilla
I don't have to try those tactics. Mine are way more creative and I can do them in the open. I can do a lot of them where it's like, oh, the punishment is so small, but the coverage is going to be enormous. Do as much of those things as you can, especially where you're going to get people on your side. That's the goal. That's the end goal, isn't it? Is we're not here just to punish everybody for having a lot of the same thoughts we used to have. Is open their eyes, figure that out, find that thing that twitches in them, whatever it was in you that was either an emotional or a financial or something that clicked. Most people, I don't think, have always been anarchists.
No.
They found out that there's this idea that is the same idea that they kind of already had. And there are these really smart guys out there who say it a lot better than me. I'm going to read a bunch of them and they're all over the place.
Right.
I could go on and on. I won't. But more tactics, wonderful tactics of civil disobedience. Just what we're doing right now. Start a podcast. There's no FCC. There's no FCC. I can say fuck, shit, tit, balls, ass, pussy, whatever.
That's right.
It's wonderful. It's what I can be as stupid as I want. And what's amazing is so many of the really stupid people are getting the most clicks. I don't understand it. But hey, find your voice and broadcast it. Be a good ambassador for liberty. Be somebody who knows how to come back at those responses, but not trying to like win, trying to get people to think they figured it out for themselves. That's the most beautiful thing that I found is when you can invest that time, because so many people are thinking that everything has to be the way that you see it on the mainstream media news shows. Is everybody gets a 20-second blurb and you got to make your point and ha, that guy is stupid and we got him, aha. And like it's so non-thinking that I don't want to win that way. I don't want to win like that. I want to win thinking people over to our side. I want to win over people who are creative, who are willing to think of these. I came up with all this list in probably about 30 minutes of just rattling off anything that came to my mind. And I'll try to rattle off a bunch more because I got a whole lot of them and I don't want to get too bogged down in any one of them. But all right. Call in radio shows, be a good caller, learn to put that point out there where you're going to win people over, not just win the debate. Go to public smokeouts where it's still illegal to smoke weed, but a bunch of people are going to go on public property and they're going to defy authorities and they're going to, no, we're sitting right here and we're going to do it. Come and get us. Go teach people how to nullify juries. Learn about that. Be a good spokesman for that. Stand out in front of the court with your pamphlets. learn to do sabotage. That's one that could either be boogaloo or civil disobedience of like, yeah, encourage more potholes. Well, I have something that could tear up the road. Oh, how many calls are they going to need of people bitching about, oh my God, there's another pothole, before they realize, holy shit, these guys are ineffective. They can't do what we want them to do. We keep begging them to solve this problem, and it keeps cropping up because there are these little gremlins out there. I think they're anarchists, and they have jackhammers, and they're ruining my roads. Those bastards! Yeah, ruin the roads. Do that.
And
take the one thing away from them that is holy.
If they haven't seen that they're not effective at keeping the roads pothole free by now, I don't know if they will. But I like that, and there was just a story that came out of a cop who flipped her vehicle during a chase because of a pothole that was not fixed, that had been there. It's like the neighborhood pothole. So,
moment of silence. Moment of silence.
Moment of silence for the pothole.
I'm
it's
over
gonna
it.
get fixed. It's gonna get killed.
So, more goodies. Black and gray markets, cornerstone of agorism. Like you could do 100 podcasts on just that. Hey, go Google it, and don't forget to make sure you tell the NSA that anything that I am Googling is just for research on a book of fiction. Exactly like what I'm doing right now. I'm just practicing my characters for this lengthy piece of libertarian fiction that I've been working out for about 7 years, which is actually true.
Beautiful.
Stay tuned. I'll let you in on that one later.
Oh
yeah. So get crowdfund, Liberty Defense Funds. More people need to have money to pay for their attorneys, not the ones who work for the state. Get private attorneys. And yeah, there are a lot of them that work pro bono, but just like so many things that are out there, you're going to get what you pay for.
Right.
And I think it would behoove a lot of people who are in this movement to go ahead and gather together. Like Edmund Burke said, and I'm going to butcher another fucking quote, is when bad men combine, good men must also join together, lest they fall one by one, an unpitied sacrifice. Don't be so afraid of collectivism, you fucking individualists. Gather together. Form companies. What do you think a fucking business is? You're not running it all by yourself, you arrogant egotist.
That's right.
I'm sorry, I get pissed.
No, I love that. And you can tie that one back to the idea of bleeding the state as well, bleeding the beast. If you're taking funds from the state, it's totally possible to pool those for things like defense attorneys. If you're getting any sort of cash assistance, selling food stamps, you get anything like that.
Yes.
And pooling it for community funds.
Turn the sword into a shield.
That's right.
Let's see. I got little notes also. Don't alienate potential allies. Educate people. Engage in pamphleting. Like, when did that stop? Like, we need more and more of these, like the annoying Christians have these little tracts that they're like little comic books that get kids to believe that they're going to burn in hell. But like, why not create some liberty tracts and just put them under people's windshield wipers that you see oh, wow, he's got a live free or die fucking bumper sticker on there. I'll take a shot. I'll throw down 4 cents on this guy's windshield, whatever. Try to reach those people. They're out there. They're yearning for it. They want it. They need it. Fucking deliver the message. Let's see. Cryptocurrencies. I love the idea of cryptocurrencies, and I didn't get it for 9 fucking years. I didn't get it. And then all of my smarter friends than me kept going, you're wrong. And eventually I went, oh, wow, I watched something and it opened my eyes. I'm like, oh, what a wonderful shield against the state. Cryptocurrencies, and not all of them are good.
Right.
Do a lot of research, and then do a lot more fucking research.
Privacy coins. That's where it's at.
I like the idea of, if there's going to be a lot of people out there, and maybe this is kind of self-defeatist because maybe the money would be better spent other ways, but if there are going to be people out there who bribe I'm sorry, contribute to politicians' reelection funds and give them $10,000 a plate dinners. Wouldn't it be awesome if kind of you were able to find a way to not bribe politicians or somebody to do the right thing? Maybe that's a civil disobedient, peaceful way.
Interesting.
Corrupt the system into doing the right thing.
I think that's going to be the hardest sell, probably the hardest to accomplish as well. But it's an interesting.
Yeah, because I've thought about how if you had, and I'll get off on a tangent on this one. If you had 1,000 men, and each one of them had $100,000, what? Shit, I can't even think of what the math on that is, but it's a lot of fucking money. What do you think you would best spend that money on? Would it be arming those 1,000 guys and training them to go and engage in a civil war, or teach other people to engage in a shooting fucking conflict with the state? Or would it be to bribe those politicians? Or might it be to make them disciples of liberty, to start little education centers, to have something that you could spread, that no one could look at you and go, those guys are criminals? Like, nobody ever looks at the Mises Institute or any number of like think tanks. At least I can't imagine that they wouldn't be able to be intellectually honest and go, those guys are a bunch of criminals. So like, yeah, they're just educating people in a different way. It's not your 12-year indoctrination program that everyone's forced to pay for. Like, if you're going to pay for education, if you're not going to have kids, maybe donate to a place that educates people in things that you care about, whether it's teaching that in this country or other countries, or start a fucking YouTube channel. Like, teach people stuff. Everybody knows something. Everybody knows something that a lot of other people don't know. And that's the beauty of the internet, is all these ideas can just get spread around, and like the shit ones kind of get whittled down along with the shitty people. I think the phonies are going to continually get exposed, especially these interlopers who will wave the gold and the black and all the other anti-state bullshit. And then you hang out for a while, and you see they're just a bunch of fucking Republicans or liberty fucking soft core fucking statists. Oh, we want a national political party to rival the other two political parties. We know that we're never actually going to win office, but at least we're spreading the message. And I still side with Rothbard of like, you know what? Everything. Just try everything. Go ahead. You know, if that's where you want to knock yourself out, if you want to go to the political sphere, oh, God bless you. Good luck, motherfucker. Because I spent 3 hours in a county planning committee, whatever the fuck meeting, and I was ready to run out there pulling out what little hair I might have left. It was, and there are people who, just like these assholes who live in an HOA going around with a fucking ruler on everybody's lawn. There are these busybodies who that's their life. All they got to do is show up at those meetings and complain, or they became one of the chairman because they're so well known now in town. And out of the whole town, we have 35,000 people where I live, and it's a committee of 9 that makes decisions that literally can affect your financial well-being and even your freedom. But what I thought was so great was one of the cases that took an hour. This guy had been before them several times, flaunting their decisions and not getting the appropriate permissions from the crown. And the people who surrounded him were very happy that this committee ruled against him. And I'm thinking, I'll see you fuckers in 2 years, because it's been 7 years that this guy has been saying, fuck your determinations. I'm not going to go along with them. And they got no teeth. And I think that's great. I would love if there were to be a real minarchy, let them have their little council and everything, but let them have no teeth.
Right.
You got no
Ignore 'em.
power of enforcement. It's exactly what the Supreme Court was supposed to be when they render an opinion. It's just that. It's not a decision. It's just an opinion. We think it would be best if you didn't put a pool there or put a sign there or do whatever it is. Like, but we're not going to stop you. But other people might want to sue you for that, and they have the ability to do that. Even in a free society, there would be plenty of cases tried before private law, and that's another one that's really tough to teach people.
There's
just
a lot
the
of
idea
people
that that's even possible.
Sure, and even still, there's people with an aversion to the idea of the McPolice and private courts who just want to be completely left alone. So it's a hard sell on all sides. Let me track back real quick to what you were saying about having, what did you say, 1,000 guys with $1,000 or $100,000 dollars each. I think
was that like 100 million?
It's a lot of money, but yeah, 100 million. But the idea of defense and education with that are great, and I would say less than an idea of an aggression. My dream, what my wish would for those people to get together and form a community that could defend itself from a state within, if it's in the U.S., here within the U.S., because we get to the points like looking at Virginia, talking about Boogaloo and things like that, where it's not going to be good PR. There's blowback from Waco, there's blowback from Ruby Ridge, not as much as there should be, obviously, but you can make enough of a stink, put up enough of a fight that they'll just leave you alone. Bundy Ranch, for example, it didn't even take that much there.
Yes.
So I think the education and building defensive communities would be how I would allocate that money if I had the opportunity.
I think also a great investment in money would be to get as many libertarian programmers and coders to create applications that would be able to communicate with people when there's a need. Like, holy shit, Larry just got raided. They're trying to take it. Like, they surrounded his house. Let's surround them.
Yep.
And at the very least, we'll have eyes on the situation. Like, I don't even know where to grab this one because there's so many different angles I could come at.
If I've said it once, I've said it, I don't know, at least 10 times on the show, and that's do that now. You don't need people necessarily to build those applications on a mass scale. It would be great, of course, but there are encrypted messages, messaging chats, whatever, that you can get into, and you need to have a local network. In the event that you do get raided, that you do get surrounded, you need people to at least let people know what's happening. If not, come and surround the pigs who are surrounding you. That's really important. I'm working on mine, of course, and definitely it always takes more work. You're never done. You need to meet up face-to-face with the people who are going to have your back. But that's something that needs to happen on everybody's local level if you want to stay safe.
I agree. Absolutely. And I think I'll come back to a lot of these different little ideas for civil disobedience of, let's see, what are some good ones here? Like, everybody knows so many of these, like filming the cops, homeschooling, learning and teaching skills and trades, like teach other people how to be an agorist, how to get off the grid, how to create your own energy, how to grow your own food. These are the really rebellious things that like anybody can do, and that they can't look at you and go, there's the criminal. Like, some of them maybe like distilling liquor and brewing beer and, trading that with your friends and anybody else. Warn people that there's traffic stops or checkpoints ahead. Let's see. Here's one that I thought, I don't know how much this one will catch on, but I think it's a little ahead of its time, or maybe it just needs a little more thinking, is that if we're going to sink to the level of conducting ourselves like statists, maybe we could do it this way, that like when election time comes around, you go out and you rent a van and you go find where the homeless people are that at least are able to go and vote, and you show up with some decent clothes from from goodwill so that they look decent, and you show up at a political rally or something, and you dress them in MAGA gear, and you make sure that they're good and fucking liquored up, and you spread them into the crowd and let them weave through there and notify some of the people in charge, and even especially the media of, I think this guy's had one too many, I don't know about this fucking, and interview them. Like, do the rat fuckery that they do all the time. Like, well, these aren't MAGA support. Yeah, prove it, motherfucker. They're there. They're wearing the fucking hat. Like, shave them down. Give them a little splash of cologne. Be good to them. Give them money before and after. Hook them up. Give them cigarettes, everything, whatever it takes. And again, I'm not encouraging or telling anyone to do this
not.
for any authorities that might be listening.
Fuck
I'm
the
a fucking
bludgies.
comedian. I'm an idiot. There should be, you should put a fucking warning before this show. I think I'm going to put it before Mr. Anarchist. Like, no one should listen to anything I'm saying.
Yeah,
no one should follow. I'm not giving advice. I'm a sick person. This is my therapy. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know anything.
Gotta check out bipcot.org, the Bipcot license. Keep the bludgies away from your content. That's another great thing from Liberty Under Attack and Shane Radcliffe, those guys over there. Jason Booth. Shout out Jason Booth. Uses it on Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable content. It's good stuff. Bipcot.org. I need to get on that myself. I've been slacking.
I shall check it out.
Yes, BIPCOT, Bipcot. That's a good one for sure. Yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff to do. So I love civil disobedience. I think it's great. And so now I want to relate that to Boogaloo, because you bring up Boogaloo sometimes here and there. And I think that there needs to be both, and there will be both. I don't think it's a choice necessarily. The Boogaloo will be brought to us by the state. And that's pretty evident looking at Whiskey Warrior, Virginia, any of the red flag laws, any gun confiscation, anything. They want to bring it to you for whatever reason, and all you can do is be prepared. It doesn't matter ferreting out the reason for it necessarily if you're prepared to defend your life and the lives of your loved ones. So if we're looking at, and people love to try to divide it and say, well, violence is never going to solve anything. It's never going to create a better future. Only civil disobedience, let's say, or education. But it goes hand in hand, because at a certain point, the state's going to be either realizing how weak they're becoming because people are waking up to the reality of what the world is, and they're going to thrash out and try to take that last grasp for control, and you're going to need to defend yourself from their violence. Or if we're taking Virginia again into account, all the civil disobedience is great, but they're ready to bring in the National Guard, the UN, and take people's weapons by force. So there's nothing that's going to stop that.
I don't believe them.
Except for meeting with equal force.
I think so much of it is posturing. It
very well could be.
They're encouraging us, and I'm not going to collectivize that shit because I don't believe in it. But they're encouraging the people who would boogaloo to start the boogaloo before it should start, so that they and all of their legion of supporters can go, aha, look at them. They're the criminal. And that's the greatest weapon that the state can use, is to make you look like you're trying to be the state. Whether it's a small-time criminal or you're trying to form a whole revolution and become the new state. Whatever it is, they feel threatened, and they don't like rival gangs. There's no room for any kind of disobedience. So if you're going to disobey, there has to be a point. I understand when the barbarian is at the gates. If you are at the Branch Davidian compound and they're fucking climbing up the side of your house and they have MP5s, and they're coming to bust in and start hurting or maybe killing any or all of you, I don't think it's a smart idea not to fight back. But Branch Davidians really tried for a long time. They tried to talk to the media, and unfortunately the internet didn't exist. back then. I can't even imagine how differently that shit would have panned out, how differently Ruby Ridge would have panned out, how so many things, had there not been the instant availability to send out that word,
Right.
like you're talking about, of like, we need those Minutemen. When I went out, I lived a very short way from where the Bundy ranch was. And I went out there and I was running water and other supplies. And I had a former colleague who was taking interviews and helping out people. And the response of all of these individuals, I don't know how much they were parts of groups or if it was just this loose grouping of people who just spread the word from one guy to another. A fucking army showed up, a private army who said, I'm here because I want to be here. I didn't get drafted. I ain't getting paid. I believe in this cause. That's a great fucking way to keep the enemy at bay, because the state is so slow in anything they do. You usually have the upper hand if you know how to beat them in speed. If you can go faster than they can respond, there's a good chance that you can at least make them realize, oh shit, I was gonna violate them up to a 10, but now I can only do a 6. Like, at least you got that.
I agree that the optics of, in taking the initiative in Virginia would be much easier for them to make you look like the criminal. But I think right now, the way that people are talking about it, the way the articles are coming out about it, it doesn't look good for the state. They're looking like the bad guy in this situation. And I agree with you. You need to be ready for that barbarian at the gates. You need to be the barbarian when the supposed civilized people come to take away your barbarism. That's what needs to happen. And yeah, the optics are important because, like you said, they can flip the script on you very easily. So, but still be ready. And that's another thing I said before. The state will bring the boogaloo to us. I don't think there's any way we could bring a boogaloo to the state.
They always have.
Mm-hmm.
They always have, ever since the founding of the state. I forget who had, another one of my butchered quotes, who I can't even remember the source, who had said, the foundations of the state are nothing to be wondered at. It happened when the first group of criminals huddled together and figured out how to expropriate the whole of society and convince them that they were doing it for their own good.
Yep. Just bandit lords coming together and figuring out how to take everybody else's wealth and keep that system flowing. It's when they discovered that you don't have to murder everyone in the village. You can just keep coming back and taking from them if you leave them alive.
You can fleece a sheep many times, but you can only skin him once.
Exactly. You got more points on this? You got more civil disobedience points?
I got plenty, and some of them are my favorites.
Or do you have anything else that you want to move on to as well? So keep that in mind.
I want to hit all these civil disobedient moves. I'm gonna flow through a bunch of these as much as I can. I like the Johnny Appleseed approach and just plant fucking weed everywhere. Plant entheogenic plants and mushrooms, and then give directions. Just spread out directions and maps plant all your shit in public parks and national parks. Plant it in city fucking hall. Whatever you can plant to grow that they say is illegal, have it right under their fucking nose. Anytime you feel like it, report a cop. Like, he was going fast. He was reckless, anything, whatever creative thing you can come up with, because they're coming up with bullshit excuses to pull you over and arrest you. And I'm not saying to swat these guys because, they all have families and they have dogs and we don't want them killed. But if there's a single cop out there just lives alone, like, why not? Why wouldn't you call his fellow pigs on him because you thought you heard, gunfire coming from this house or whatever? It doesn't matter. Just report them. Just make trouble for them. Just clog up their lines. There's still public payphones out there. Call 911. Waste their fucking time.
Speaking of the Johnny Appleseed approach, it's very common to find psilocybin mushrooms growing around police stations, along with other things that can propagate themselves because people just ditch their stash right around the police station. My wife is into mycology quite a bit, and that's something that comes up in some of the groups that she's in. Apparently, there's a lot of psychedelic
I love
mushrooms.
mycology.
Yep.
They
Continue.
are a wonderful thing. And that's another wonderful civil disobedience. Learn to grow mushrooms. Learn to process DMT. Learn to create all kinds of psychedelic. Buy Alexander Shulgin's books. Learn fucking chemistry. Be a fucking Heisenberg. Don't violate anyone's liberty. But if that's the way to go, go ahead. And if you're really, really suave, learn how to pickpocket and plant some of those drugs on DAs and judges and cops, and then report them for stealing your drugs, and just fuck those guys. Like, if they're gonna plant fucking drugs on us, plant drugs on them. Fucking hide it in their mailbox, send it to them, because they're not gonna throw it away. Send them some fucking anonymous drugs sometimes. Let's see, what are some other good ones? More along the lines of education, talking to people. Start a lot of puppet accounts. If you're the kind of person who likes to do online debates and stuff, go to political media pages and inculcate yourself and appear to be one of them, and gently point out, like, hey, but you feel that this, why not this? And just nudge people, give them a little helping hand, because it really helps when they think they figured it out, that they weren't beaten over the head by somebody trying to win a fucking argument.
Sure.
Just ask questions. Like, well, if taxation isn't theft, then what about this? And if it's okay to kill innocent people, what if a bank robber gets a UPS truck and just come up with creative ways to fuck with people's heads, jar them out of their comfortable position.
Right.
Like, I love the fact that everybody I talk to has the same opinion of, I've never talked to anybody like you before. I've never heard these.
Right.
Where the fuck are you why are you thinking these things? I don't think these things. I'm like, I thought everybody thought these things. What the fuck is wrong with you? Sorry. I was the kid staring out the window at school thinking about all different kinds of shit that they weren't teaching me, and that I've already heard this one 14 times now. Oh, Columbus, democracy, you gotta vote, whatever the fuck it was. It's horseshit. Teach people anarchy. That's a big one. Especially find those baby anarchists, because it's really popular among somebody who's found a new thing that they have a lot of zeal for it.
Yes.
And they become kind of an asshole. I know I did. Temper them. Just take it down a little, man. You don't have to think you're gonna win every argument. Like, find a way to finesse the ass. Don't just ram your giant cock in there. You got to lube it up a little bit first. Take it easy.
That's
and
right.
It took my best friend Matty Balls to get me there. He's still working on me. I got a lot of improvement.
You're gonna do great when you start up the show. It's gonna be great. You can go and go.
Thank you very much. I love another observation of, like, so many statists are sure of themselves that they never miss an opportunity to open their mouth and tell everybody about their beliefs. And, like, I was one of them, of like, oh wow, you're really well knowledged on the Constitution. That's pretty awesome. Just keep them talking. Just keep them talking. If you can keep people talking, I love that Rothbard reached across the aisle to leftists and fucking even people that just, I'd throw that guy out of a helicopter. Well, you're a fucking idiot. You're not winning anybody over. Oh, you're very, very tough. I understand that you're angry, and yeah, okay, but what's our goal? What's our goal? Our goal is to live more free, and I don't think that we're gonna do that through any kind of violence. But that's all my civil disobedient ones. Now I'm gonna get on to the boogaloo ones.
All right.
I like assassination markets. I think the idea
red market
of
action,
having you have a website that says, hey, there's Judge McConnelly Dixon III, and I think he's going to die on this date, and you put all your money in there because you're the guy who's going to kill him. Well, you collect the whole fucking Deadpool at that point. Like, you could create odds on it. Like, I know that there's was it Jim Bell? I haven't read, but I know he wrote a piece called Assassination Politics. Like, yeah, like George Carlin said of like, yeah, you kill a motherfucker, those public opinion polls can shift pretty fucking quick. You'd be surprised. And it's no doubt the CIA knows that.
Sure, yeah. They engage in that constantly.
What? Oh, another one that I mentioned as being a civil disobedience attack, sabotage. So like, they just, if you're going to be a sniper, just shoot out, tires from the cop cars while they're sitting in the lot. Or you can do it the other way. Okay, we'll boogaloo all the way, and like you'll be the lone man in the woods with notches on your fucking stock. Like, I got 18 of those cocksuckers. Like, good for you, man. I'm not gonna rat you. I fucking support what you do. Good for you. I ain't gonna do it because I realized not too long ago that if you're one of these assholes who supports the idea of civil war, you better come fucking intellectual really quick that unless you're the lone motherfucker, you're going to war not with a company of trained killers. You're bringing your family and your friends and old people and your whole town, a whole bunch of people who didn't want this shit. Like, why are you bothering? I favor the intentional community model. That's what I think the Free State Project, they aim too high. I think it's a noble endeavor, but I really think that the way of the future for libertarianism is, I believe it was Madison that even first talked about the idea of mini laboratories for democracy is what the states were to be. Imagine if instead of there being, there's 50 different states and they all got their rules and they're a little different from county to county, have thousands of those places,
right?
Where it's such an amazing wide array that, yeah, you don't have to be stuck in a town where it's like, yeah, I really like the fact that they're open to homosexuality, but people shit on the streets here. Like, I don't like that. Oh, I really like the fact that you can open carry guns here, but occasionally they'll drag a black man behind a fucking pickup truck. No, I don't like it here. You're so limited, it's bullshit. You're given this menu of 50 states, which really it's all under one nation under not God. The fucking
the petrodollar.
I love the idea. Like, people are so disgusted by the idea of like Hoppe and others. Like, I don't know the level of what maybe he has bigotry about him or anything, but I think he's just basically saying the idea of covenant communities where if you have a bunch of people that go, I don't like those people, let's not let them in. Well, why the fuck not? How many people are you fucking? Because you're discriminating somewhere along the line. You chose to only fuck women. You chose to only fuck your wife or whatever it is. You're discriminating. You're just going to nitpick because you're saying certain people aren't allowed onto this plot of property that is owned by people who go, nope, we don't like their kind. And frankly, I like it when my bigots and racists wave that flag loud and proud, because then I know I ain't giving them my dollar. I'm not giving them my time. Fuck those guys. Like, it makes it really easy.
Yep.
That's the beautiful thing is freedom of association, which is that the idea of our natural rights is not taught. Like, that's what we need. I want to see education centers where, like, here's my bigger goal. I'll let you in on this, on the secret. You're first. The idea of an intentional community came to me because of the idea of Galt's Gulch. Not original by any stretch of the imagination, but the idea that maybe what would be a good thing where, like, they have Anarcho-Polko and lots of other seminars that you can have like this touring thing, like a Anarcho-Palooza, that you have speakers and you have tents. And in this one, they're going to teach you how to get around bullshit tax law, and your ticket pays for entry to everything. And, maybe there's certain booths that crypto, we're going to teach you crypto, and you buy some of our whatever product, and just everything agorist, everything that teaches people to live that better life and provides them with entertainment, and it can tour around from intentional community to intentional community, and those people in the community have certain first dibs on plots to put up their whatever goods and services, like whatever it is. Like, I live in a county, and it won't be hard for a lot of people to figure this one out. I'll try to remain as anonymous as possible. Some of you are going to know exactly who the fuck I am. I don't care. I'm going to try to keep it as much as possible, because it's not me. This is my dark side.
That's right.
I live in a county where prostitution is legal and taxable. Therefore, it's acceptable. Prostitution in a state where only half of the counties have legalized prostitution. And it's not even the counties where the most people are. Most people go into Vegas and they assume that prostitution is legal. I don't know about most, but a lot of people, I talk to them all the time. Like, yeah, you can go and get a whore. Like, you can, but if you're unfortunate enough to be seized by the man, it's going to suck for you. Oh, weed is legal. Yay, we can go buy weed. Another counter economics thing. Don't buy from the dispensaries and let your money go to the fucking man. Buy from Friendly John, your good buddy who grows his own, and it's good shit. Don't let any of that tax money go to the fucking evil state. End of story. Have those places, have those communities, use the law. We need savvy people who know the fucking law in certain areas. Make those community pools to where people can go to an attorney and go, hey, I want to do this and this and this. How the fuck do I do that? And it's legal. Oh, form a charity, form a 501c3, form a religion, be like the Elks Lodge or the Masons, form a fraternal organization, follow their rules. One of the biggest lessons that I've found from working in a casino is different casinos have different rules. If you're going to be savvy and you're going to be a gambler, go to the fucking place where it gives you the best advantage. Right. Find a state that works to your best advantage. The Free Staters thought that New Hampshire was the shit, but I see a huge problem there that the counties have so many people in them. How are you ever really gonna influence that kind of change? There are counties across this country that only have a few hundred people in them, some even less than that. Great documentary if you want to check it out. Wild Wild Country. Teaches you a lot of shit. Net teaches you a lot of shit of what not to do.
Yes.
But it does let you know what you're capable of. The office of sheriff is hugely important. You can nullify federal law. You can keep the FBI out of your jurisdiction if you have a sheriff. And sure, you could come into entanglements with your state government who go, oh, we got to remove him. Who are you going to put in his place? We're going to use all kinds of tactics to make his life miserable. Oh, you want to buy groceries at this store? No, your money's no good here, sir. There's so many different ways. And I believe in the smaller society. You had mentioned once before Dunbar's number.
Yes.
Which I think nobody knows what it is, but it's definitely smaller than most cities.
Yeah, 150.
I've noticed, even from living in a town, going from 2 million in the greater metropolitan area to 35,000, social media and people talk. That you don't want to become persona non grata. You don't want to be ostracized.
Right.
In a small intentional community of 10, 20, 50, 100, you are going to get found out right away. If you are an unsavory character, if you're unscrupulous, you can't get away from that. That's another reason why I just favor the idea of being in a small intentional community so much. But so many people have been conditioned by the terrorists to go, you can't do that. You'll get Waco'd.
Right.
Okay, well, you're totally safe living in a city surrounded by other people who are going to go and vote against you, who will call the cops when you make too much noise.
Just get mini
when your
Waco'd.
dogs are yeah, like you're not fucking safe anywhere. You're not safe in the least. At least you could huddle around some other Minutemen, and maybe you're not a strong guy who's going to be that guy on the wall when the fucking feds are there. You're going to be one of the guys like, I'm really glad that I'm a dentist and I've given great dental work to these brave men with guns on the wall. Like, that's your market. Find your market. And so many people need to stop being complacent with punching that fucking clock. Go learn some new skills, learn some trades, educate yourself, lose some fucking sleep, you baby. Get out of your comfort zone and learn some uncomfortable shit. If you think you might have a passion for something, but you're afraid of public speaking, get over it. There's a lot of stuff we're going to have to do that's not going to be fun. It's going to be fucking hard and it's going to suck. Learning to grow food fucking sucks. Cleaning up after animals, mucking dirty fucking pens sucks. Oh, it'd be so much fun if I could just pull a trigger. You're a lazy fucking cunt. And I don't really have time to listen to people who think the solution is with a firearm. It's not. You're never going to convince somebody. Yeah, you'll change their mind by putting it all over the fucking wall behind them, but you're not going to change the minds of people around them. Those guys are going to get even more solidified that they're right, just in the same way the jihadis are going, holy shit, I had no fucking beef. I didn't even like these asshole radicals. They were in my village. They're trying to convert my son, but the fucking U.S. blew up my son. Well, fuck those guys. I'll take up arms against anyone who hurts my children or anyone I care about. I don't care if it's a cop or anyone else. These fucking Stockholm statists would be okay with their children being violated, with themselves being violated, because it's under color of law by a man with a magic badge. They're okay with it. It necessitates statism, absolutely necessitates not only sadism, but masochism. You want to be dominated. You want to be a slave. You want a master. And you can't stand the idea that somebody out there doesn't have your master. That's so fucking sick. It nauseates me to no end.
You know, speaking of what you were saying about it, sucking, cleaning up animal shit and learning how to grow food and whatnot. That's what we're doing out here where I'm at out in the woods. And it sucks to some people. Some people like it, but there's a very appropriate meme that got a lot of traction for a while. And it's what people think Boogaloo Boys want. And it's just shooting in a burned out city. And then what Boogaloo Boys actually want. And it's a family and a homestead and a small community. And one might take the other.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like what you're saying, you know, going out and trying to change people's minds by blowing it all over the wall behind them. I think changing minds is the number one most important thing that we have to do for a lasting future, but you need to be ready to paint some walls so that your wall doesn't get painted.
Yeah. We need the Minutemen. But most of those Minutemen, they were definitely also farmers and businessmen and tradesmen and craft workers. Find your trade, find your passion, find the thing that you can make money on outside of the system. Use cryptocurrencies, find ways to, if you're gonna get fucked over by the machine every day, use the machine, incorporate.
Yep.
Take advantage of those tax laws. Find a way to where at the end of the year you go, oh, wow, I didn't get taken advantage of. I got money and I took it from those assholes who would be okay with either the cops or the Marines or somebody else violating the rights of somebody else. Fuck those guys.
That's right.
Take their money.
Reduce your coercion.
Fuck you.
It's like we were talking about at the start, which may or may not make the actual show. That might be the Patreon content there. But Vanu, reduce the coercion on your life and thrive. On that note, man, that's a good long time. I got plenty to cut up for this show, so how about we call it?
I will, and I will give one good quote that I have the quote, so I won't butcher it. That's my absolute favorite, is Thoreau from Civil Disobedience, the very first line, and I'll give a little explanation afterward.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I heartily accept the motto, that government is best which governs least, and I should like to see it acted up to more readily and systematically. Carried out, it finally amounts to this, which I also believe, that government is best which governs not at all. And when men are prepared for it, that will be the kind of government they will have. It's voluntarism. It isn't forcing a guy to believe in the right thing. It's showing them, and they'll choose it. When men are prepared for it, that will be the government they will have. We will have voluntarism. If not in my lifetime, please, Lord, in my children's."
That's right. Beautiful. Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming on. That was great. If we got any links to drop or anything in the comments, I don't know if you have your projects underway enough for that, but we'll get it out there when you do, because I'm excited for it. This has been a great episode.
All right.
Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Thanks, brother.
Hey, yeah, you bet. And remember, total freedom, no exceptions.
Zombie presidents,